This is your 4x4, and we're taking you with us on our 5-part border track adventure. So far we've surfed the waves of Wyperfeld and been bested by the dunes of the Big Desert. Our journey's second leg finds us wheeling through the sun-kissed sands of the Murray Sunset National Park and ever closer to the South Australian border. Your 4x4 is presented by Iveco, Trek Hardware, ARB, Cooper, Piranha, Nava and Carryboy.
Everyone's woken up and now we are refuelling here at Underbool, another one of the many little towns that you get as you come through this stretch of road. We'll head back a couple of kilometres and we'll hook up into Murray Sunset National Park.
One of the things you got to consider around here is where you're going to journey for fuel and water.
It's good to support these towns as you're driving through. They do struggle, not much rain. We could have bought fuel in jerry cans from Melbourne. What's the point? Help them out.
150 metres up the road, we discovered a small shop run by local volunteers. Deliveries come in 3 days a week from a bakery an hour away, based on local orders. Fortunately for us, there are a few extra treats that we secretly snapped up for our resident sweet tooth, Alan Johnson.
Go and tell Alan Johnson.
This morning when we left Murrayville, we had a good trek on the bitumen, so obviously we aired the tyres back up because the last thing you want to do is overheat a tyre. Within a couple of hours, we're back on the tracks again. What we've done with our tyre pressures, because we're doing a combination of gravel road and soft sand, around that 22 pound, it'll get us through both situations. Not too fast on the gravel road to keep the heat in the tyre down, but low enough to give us traction in the softer sand.
This happens to be the maiden voyage for the Nava Raptor, and I just thought it'd be a good opportunity to give you a bit of a rundown on what we've done to it and how it's performing to this point. So one of the first things that we put on this vehicle, a set of these Cooper STT Pros. Absolutely magnificent. They were on the last Nava Ranger that we had. And we've got all our laserette switches in here along with sockets. We're yet to get a bull bar on this thing, so we've had to put lighting elsewhere. We've got 2 of our double row Explorer LED light bars up the top. We've also put a couple of these work lamps on the side, and these just flood the area.
From our last trip, we did that amazing kangaroo track. The consequence of kangaroo track is we did some significant damage to the car in terms of scratches and tyre damage. I've polished the hell out of the car. Didn't make the scratches go away, but it looks a lot better. The tyres are still the same tyres, and my goodness, what amazing tyres. They've survived kangaroo track. On this trip, my GPS navigator has failed miserably because it hasn't been updated for so long, so Barb's got the iPad along. Tell you what, having a personal navigator is much better than that synthetic voice. A lot more fun, something to talk back to. Anyway, great trip, looking forward to having time with Barb.
Get up and find you in the hut, but I was quite surprised to see the fence still standing.
Barb's so excited. The car's so comfortable, she's fallen asleep.
I wasn't asleep, I heard you talking still.
The Murray Sunset National Park is going to be fantastic today. It's got the pink lakes, it's got the dunes. This time of year, April to October, is the perfect time to visit. It's one of the largest national parks in Victoria.
It's supposed to be really nice up there. We're going to get to see a few pink lakes, which I'm looking forward to doing.
Considered to be the centre of Victoria's outback, the Murray Sunset National Park stretches from the Murray River in the north to the Pink Lakes in the south. The bed of the lakes is solid salt and get their pink colouring from a species of red algae that grows in the clear, salty water. The park is one of the few remaining semi-arid regions in the world where the environment is relatively untouched.
Next to the salt lake there was some equipment there that they were used to mine the salt out of the area. It's amazing the quality and the construction of all the machinery despite being in a fairly harsh environment. couple of stacks which were old salt stacks that had gone hard, and they actually looked like rock. But it was very fascinating to look through some of the equipment they used, and that equipment was from back in the 1930s, 1940s, drawn originally by bullocks and horses. From there, they then brought camels in, which they found were more efficient.
I had a bit of a history lesson with Al as we went around the area. He'd been here in the early 80s, but it was really good to just have a chat with Al and get his perspective on some of the things as well.
This area is a really specky part of Victoria, and it's very untypical of Victoria because it's desert, a bit like the Simpson Desert almost, very different from the high country.
Along for the ride on this desert adventure was our good mate Yun Liang, one of ARB's leading distributors in China. Our Outback chef Mike was keen to give them a little taste of home.
We got a little bit of a surprise, but for the Chinese guests we got pork spare ribs, which we've done in a travel buddy oven. Bought a couple of noodle packs, but I'm going to put some boiling water into these, a little bit of soy sauce which I have, a little bit of chili sauce, and I'm going to drop a couple of spare ribs into it. They will love it. Just like China.
麦克，他给了我一个非常非常大的一个惊喜。我当时看见一刹那间的时候，我就觉得哦，太幸福了，马上就让我更加融合在这个大集体当中。
The Murray Sunset National Park is famous for its pink lakes.
It is pink in sections, but it still is very fascinating to look at. And as you can see behind me, you know, to walk on it, it's actually solid and crusty. To pick it up, it is solid salt. It's wonderful.
In actual fact, there's been a huge influx in tourists coming up for the Instagram photograph of the famous pink lake.
Probably not quite as pink as Instagram pics would have you believe. A really amazing area to see, and I can't wait to see what the rest of the day has in store for us.
This is treacherous country. You do need to be prepared. Obviously carrying water, food, fuel, all those things are really important. Don't take it for granted because it's little desert or whatever. It's still a desert and it's still dangerous.
Most of the guys are running all terrains. I myself in the Prado are running the new AT3 LT. I'm running them around about 20 PSI. Mike is running the AT3 XLT in a larger size. He's also around about that 22 in the back because he's carrying all the food obviously. Jake from Narva in the new Raptor. He's got a little bit of weight there but a more aggressive tyre, so we've actually brought him down to 18 pounds. The all-terrains are better for these tracks, but if you are running a more aggressive tyre, you need to reduce that tyre pressure a couple more pound to increase the footprint, because naturally an aggressive tyre is a digging tyre, and it's not what you want on a sandy track.
我开的这辆车呢是 ARB 给我们提供的是Runner 这款车，是3.2柴油在增压的。这个车的感受来说呢，就是首先来说动力是非常的好，另外还有就是这个悬挂真的太舒服了，尤其是我们在走这种颠簸的这种路面，它这个让我感觉到屁股不颠。
We've done heaps of sand driving, and that's really typical of this area. It's been a very pleasant day, not a hard day's drive at all. Realistically, not a huge amount of Ks, but we got into Mopoke, and here it is. It's about 4:30 in the afternoon, and it's still daylight, which is fantastic. It's been a great day. We've got Mike over there started a fire, getting some dinner, getting ready for us. Everyone's arrived all in one piece. It's great to have Jake on board. Luch's car is running beautifully. It's a fantastic day in the outback of Australia. Behind me is Mopoke hut. We've been here a few times before and it's a lovely spot. It's one of those huts that's actually maintained. You could sleep in it if you really wanted to. It's quite clean and tidy. Not full of rats, poo and all the horrible things you normally get in huts. Now the only thing a bit scary is over there, but there's some really black clouds. And if you listen to the Bureau of Meteorology website, it tells us we're in for a huge storm tonight. Talk to you in the morning and tell you what happened.
Morning, Stephen. How you going?
Morning, Simon. Very well, thank you, mate.
Good morning, Jake.
Morning, Mike. How did you sleep last night?
I had an interesting sleep. I fell asleep, woke up to a thunderstorm, fell back asleep.
I slept a lot better last night compared to the first night when I didn't have my sleeping bag.
Yeah, it was a bit fresh that first night. Well, this morning we left camp after a nice bit of rain overnight, a bit of a thunderstorm, which was quite pleasant actually. It woke us up.
We had some early storms go through. It hit pretty hard with some wind and rain. Cleared up nicely though, and we're on the road ready for another day of adventure. So how many hours from Adelaide are we here?
Here we're probably about 4 hours from Adelaide. Not too far at all.
And have you done much driving through this region?
I have. Border Track in particular, spend a lot of time there. It's a nice little weekend getaway. Even if I have to work on a Saturday morning, I grab my two eldest boys, we jump in the car, we can be at Pinaroo for lunch and then onto the Border Track and we generally push on to Red Bluff and camp there the night.
Feeney's track is long, remote, and the soft sand can be deep in places. The clay parts of the track can become impassable in the wet, and it's been described by many as legendary. Lowering your pressures here is a must.
We kept the tyre pressures down. We picked up our speed a bit without going too fast to affect the tyres, but we still had the tyre pressures reasonably low to get the traction because some corners you actually needed it. You come across some soft stuff.
A few mud patches, which a couple of the guys, went through.
Had a chance to splash through and make the cars a bit dirty. Give us a challenge when we get home to tidy them up.
Bit of fun on our way this morning. We found a few mud puddles. Everyone had the challenge of getting the cameraman wet and a couple of us won that prize. So I think we'll have to find a few more and see if we can all get a prize on that.
Now, I know it's a weekday, but we haven't seen hardly any traffic on the track apart from us, have we?
Yeah, just the one this morning, which was a pair of Kiwi tourists. They had a troop carrier that's probably the tallest thing I've ever seen off-road. I'd hate to be doing any side angles, but they were out enjoying the tracks and exploring.
Not exactly my cup of tea for the high country, but still probably okay for around here.
Have you been up here before, Jake, in the Sunset National Park?
I have been up here. This will be my third trip up here. It is a magnificent spot. So I guess that's what's very unique about Victoria is you can be down on beaches, you can be high country, and in the instance of this trip, you can be half a day's drive from Melbourne and you're up in desert country. And from what I understand with some of the material that Danny's supplied us, the Murray Sunset National Park is the biggest national park in Victoria.
Yeah, it's incredible through this area, just the colours and everything. You can see why there's a load of artists come up here and do landscape paintings.
A kangaroo or something on the road up ahead. Could be an emu.
We've seen a few of the kangaroos, and you guys are obviously calling out all the other prints that you see as we go along. It's certainly alive with wildlife, that's for sure.
Pretty interesting terrain through here. You've got this red mallee dirt, which is almost clay-like when it gets wet. It's quite slippery.
Driving through a section back there, and I thought if we had a bit more rain last night, that would have been quite the challenge. Obviously we're all helping each other out when we got stuck and we're in a bit of bother. Basically, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, the four driving community just comes together, gets stuck in and helps each other out.
Yeah, it's amazing travelling with such a diverse group and being on a lot of different four-wheel drive trips and tracks and met a lot of people. And it doesn't matter if you can't speak the language, we all speak four-wheel drive. We're one big brotherhood.
Absolutely.
Driving along Feeney's track, the crew decided it was high time to eat. But when they pulled over, Simon discovered something was amiss. There's always something to fix in the outback.
Fridges are fantastic accessories to have when you're out travelling in these remote locations, and fridge slides make it even easier to get to your fridge. In this case though, the fridge slide has run over the power cord for the fridge, which is something you've got to be careful of. And I reckon, probably right about there, that's where it has shorted the fridge cord out. So it's taken a bit of work. We've popped the bonnet. The dual battery kit's not there, it's in the back of the vehicle, so we've traced it back through to where the fuses are, and we do have a blown fuse. Fortunately, thanks to Piranha Off-Road, I have a full packet of spare fuses here. So we've got a 15 ampere, which will do the trick. We'll get that plugged back into the circuit. Fortunately also, I'm carrying a spare fridge cord, thanks to my Coolman. So little things like that, make sure you're carrying some of the things you're going to need when you're out here in the outback.
Is fridge on? Yes'm, all fixed. Escaping out. I don't want the whole thing though, it's too bad.
I don't want the whole thing, let's slice it up.
Slice it up. No, you bastard!
You can see where I've licked it, yeah?
I can see where it's licked it. No! I want the other half.
Simon, watch out, he's gonna lick it.
Today we did a fair long stretch of track, diverse track, pretty sandy, dirt, curves, there's a lot of straight runs.
The landscape of this border track in the Murray Sunset Park is amazing. You can go from sand dunes like we were in to now nice open flat country, and then you come over the crest now and look down into a valley. It's absolutely amazing.
By the way, look at this, we've actually got water across the road here, that's amazing.
Yeah, we've gone through a fair bit of water this morning. It's been quite pleasant to do.
We had rain the night before, kept the dust down, everyone was really pleased with that, but by the end of the day it dried out and there was billowing dust everywhere. But regardless of that, everyone's in great spirits, rapt to be here. The colour of the sand, we've had everything from deep reds to the whites.
We're heading for accommodation tonight instead of camping out, aren't we?
Yeah, Shearers Quarters tonight, which will be quite different. I haven't stayed in Shearers Quarters for a long time, but they usually have a lot of character.
Yeah, that's an understatement. They can also have some pretty cool odours from what I can remember too, yes. Anyway, that's Shearers Quarters. We'll see.
Welcome, here we are to the Shearers Quarters. We've just sort of stumbled up to it. Once owned by the Sunset Pastoral Company.
Now it's just turned into a sort of hostel style accommodation.
These Shearers Quarters actually have security locks on the front to stop bad people getting in. It's like stepping back in time, like 100 years.
Very unique, and it shows what shearers lived in back from the 1920s through the 1950s.
It is in really good nick in there.
There's LED strip lighting in there, there's a small inverter, a gas run fridge.
Sleeps 10. Nice kitchen, lounge room.
And a floor that goes and creaks as you walk all over it.
This is how big the snakes get.
Yeah, my mum should go.
Obviously the team are fairly excited about hot showers and a flushing toilet as well.
Now the water is just for showering. You'll know why. Bore water up here.
Gravity-fed pressure. Perfect.
Well, it would house all of us, but we don't all want to sleep together because there's a few snorers in the party. We're coming to the point now, which is what Murray Sunset National Park is famous for, the sunsets. As the sun comes down, we've probably got another hour or so of light. It'll just turn the sky red on the horizon. It's just magnificent.
With the Murray sunset doing justice to its name for the second time, another satisfying couple of days have come to an end. Tomorrow, however, will be the big one. Our first day on the infamous border track, and I can't wait to find out what lies ahead.